Hey guys, let's get more news about Dallas, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Cowboys dipping into UFL for player workout. The Dallas Cowboys have made a habit out of finding talent in the spring football leagues in each of the last 2 seasons, as they identified Cavante Turpin out of the USFL in 2022 and Brandon Aubrey in 2023, with each becoming Pro Bowl players in their respective first seasons. And they might not be done yet. The Cowboys are scheduled to work out UFL linebacker Willie Harvey Jr. on Tuesday after Harvey put together an all-UFL season playing for the St. Louis Battlehawks, where he led the league in tackles and all linebackers in tackles for loss and forced fumbles. Originally from Hastings, Florida, Harvey attended Iowa State, where he was a 3-time All-Big 12 honorable mention. He went undrafted in the 2019 NFL Draft and signed with the Cleveland Browns as an undrafted free agent, where he spent 3 seasons and played in 4 games. His 2 career tackles both came on special teams. After being released by the Browns, Harvey's journey led him to the XFL, where he signed with the Battlehawks and played 2 seasons in St. Louis. At 5'11", 230 pounds, Harvey is an undersized linebacker from a height perspective but makes up for it with a physical nature of play that fills running lanes and attacks the backfield. His experience in the UFL has seen him play all 3 linebacker positions in his professional career. With Mike Zimmer bringing in a new defensive system that requires depth numbers at the linebacker position, the Cowboys could benefit from Harvey's presence if they see it fit after Tuesday's workout. Cowboys safety Wanya Thomas called a starter in the making. One of the Dallas Cowboys' most exciting young defensive players is a guy they didn't even draft. Heading into his 3rd season, safety Wanya Thomas has risen from humble beginnings to being declared a potential starter. Undrafted in 2022, Thomas spent all of that year on Dallas' practice squad but became one of their key backups and a core special teams player last season. He started 1 game in 2023 and led the team in special teams snaps. He didn't get ample playing time on defense behind Malik Hooker, Jaron Kearse, and Donovan Wilson, but showed well when he was on the field. Thomas's ascension has been enough, and is apparently continuing in the Cowboys' spring practices, that Patrick Walker of the team's official website has him competing for a starting job in 2024. In the piece, Walker refers to Thomas as a starter in the making and even declares him potentially being a full-time starter in 2024. The article includes some glowing remarks from coaches Mike McCarthy and Al Harris as well. That's high praise, especially with a solid pair of veterans in Hooker and Wilson returning. Kearse wasn't re-signed in free agency by the Cowboys and remains untouched by the rest of the NFL. But while Dallas did play all 3 safeties regularly in Dan Quinn's scheme, the arrival of Mike Zimmer is expected to curtail the hybrid LB/S role that Kearse played in favor of more traditional linebackers. That would seem to leave Hooker and Wilson as the favorites to be the typical starting duo, with Hooker at FS and Wilson in the SS role. Though they're far more familiar to us, neither veteran should be considered a lock to start. While their trio with Kearse was a fun story and all played well, none of them were stars for the Cowboys. Being adequate leaves plenty of room for improvement, and there seems to be a lot of momentum building behind Wanya Thomas as a potential upgrade to one of their positions. Thomas has the size to play strong and the athleticism to play free, giving him 2 avenues to a starting role. And with both Hooker and Wilson getting older and more expensive, the Cowboys could jump at a chance to pivot to a younger, cheaper option even if he just maintains the level of play. If Thomas gives them a reason to think he could elevate one of those positions, either now or in the near future, that will only incentivize the team more. Don't balk at Thomas's potential just because he was undrafted, either. Wilson was only a 6th-round pick himself in 2019, and just look at what Darren Bland is doing for the Cowboys as a former 5th-rounder. The margin between day 3 picks and undrafted guys can be really slim, and Thomas has as much right to NFL success as any of them. Wanya Thomas didn't enter the league with the same fanfare as a Micah Parsons or Motzie Smith, or even most of the other young defensive talents in Dallas. But he's already outclassed some of them as a prospect and is quickly rising the Cowboys' ranks. Even if he doesn't push Hooker or Wilson out of a job this summer, he'll definitely be a key backup and in position for bigger things in the very near future. Proposed Cowboys trade sees Ceedee Lamb unloaded for two-time national champ. If the Dallas Cowboys are forced to trade Ceedee Lamb, an out-of-conference foe could be an ideal trade partner. The 25-year-old receiver skipped the team's mandatory minicamp and missed all of the team's voluntary organized team activities as he holds out for a new contract. The three-time Pro Bowler is entering the final year of his rookie contract, which will pay him slightly less than $18 million. If the Cowboys can't work out a deal with him, they will have to explore a trade. In a list of proposed trade scenarios compiled by Bleacher Report's Brad Gagnon, one of the deals proposed involves the Cowboys dealing Lamb to the Los Angeles Chargers in exchange for rookie receiver Ladd McConkey and a first-round draft pick. The argument is simple: the Cowboys would benefit from cap savings by unloading Lamb for a rookie or receiver, and they would be trading Lamb to an AFC team unlikely to contend for a Super Bowl during the 2024 season. Dallas would struggle to turn down the immediate cap savings and the significant 2025 draft capital influx, especially with a bright young receiver in Ladd McConkey coming back to try to strike gold with Dak Prescott, Gagnon wrote. The Chargers selected McConkey with the 34th overall pick in the second round of the 2024 NFL Draft. The 6-foot, 185-pound receiver doesn't exactly possess prototypical size for a starting receiver, but he was a highly accomplished target while playing for the Georgia Bulldogs. The 22-year-old won 2 national championships while starring at Georgia, including his 2022 season where he posted 58 receptions for 762 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns. McConkey posted 5 receptions for 88 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns in the 65-7 win over the TCU Horned Frogs in the 2022 national championship. As Gagnon mentioned, the Chargers, who would be seeking a viable receiver for star quarterback Justin Herbert, would acquire one of the best weapons in the league in Lamb after losing his top 2 receivers, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, during the offseason. In this case, it would be a chance for Jim Harbaugh and company to maximize their support for Justin Herbert at a critical juncture of his career, Gagnon wrote. And like New England, the Los Angeles Chargers have the cap space while also not being considered a primary contender. In considering whether to trade Lamb or sign him to a contract extension, the Cowboys will need to take into account the upcoming mega money deals for star quarterback Dak Prescott, who will likely earn at least $50 million annually, and linebacker Micah Parsons, who is projected to earn $32 million annually on his next deal, according to ESPN's Bill Barnwell. According to Spotrac, Lamb's projected contract value is $136 million over 4 years at an average annual value of $34 million. Considering the Minnesota Vikings just signed Justin Jefferson to a $140 million deal across 4 years, $35 million per year, the Cowboys would likely be forced to tack on some extra dollars to surpass that deal. And you fan? What do you think of the situation of Ceedee Lamb? Leave your opinion in the comments.